Alright, this video is about particles. So we can use particles in our scene to make things like little dust motes or rain or snow or like moving fog that's closer to the camera or fire or whatever. I'm going to show you how the particle system works, and the end conclusion is that it is really hard to make particle systems and you should just find them in the asset store. But let's just go into how they work. So I'm going to create a particle system, so effects particle system. And this is what it looks like by default. It's kind of shooting little white particles up into the sky. And if you go into your inspector, you can see here that there are 8 billion settings to set. So let's go through just the process of just like how to kind of maybe make something like rain in the desert, right? So if I click my particle system, I want to first kind of change it so that it is not emitting just from a point. I want to make it emit from a like larger shape. So if I go here into the emission settings, into the shape, you can see the shape right now is a cone. So maybe I want it to not be a cone. I want it to be a kind of rectangle, something like this. And then I can make it also like much larger, X and Z. Okay, I also would probably want it to rain from like up in the sky. Okay, now it's raining up, so one thing we want to do is have it rain down. So we're going to change it, the gravity to be 1. So now you can see as the particles come up, they kind of fall back down. Next thing we can change is the, so there's a few different settings here. So how long are our particles staying alive? So particle lifespan, you can kind of see as they fall through, they die kind of down here. So if you make this a bigger number, they fall longer, and if you make it smaller, they don't fall as far, right? Also the start size, you can change how big are your particles that are falling. So of course, if it's raining, we want them to be quite small, right? And let's see. The emitter velocity, so how many maximum particles are there? If we increase this number, we can have more or less. Right now, we're not getting anywhere close to 1,000, so I can just leave it. But the emission rate over time, so let's see, if I increase that rate to, let's see, now we're getting more, 40, right? You can get more rain, heavy rain, 100, right? Even more rainy. You can kind of set keyframes on this if you want. I'm not really going to go into that because we'll just, if we're doing anything crazy, we'll just go into the asset store. So anything else here, you can also change the color. So if I kind of click here, I can change the color of my particles. So instead of being just white, up top this is the alpha value, and down below this is the color. So I can make blue particles, and then you can see this change. They're really tiny, but they are blue. If we change their size, see, they're blue. We can also change the color by how fast they're going. So if they're going kind of slow, then maybe they are red, and then if they are going faster, they change to pink, okay, something like that. So you can something like this. Let's see. Okay, so if you change the maximum speed to be a little higher, see, they start off kind of orange, and then they become pink as they move faster and faster. So this kind of stuff can be fun if you're making like more advanced particle settings. Let's see. I'll keep them blue for now. You can change the size. So let's say you can, if you click on this little graph, see how it gets bigger as it goes on. You can start it big and have it become small. You can kind of change this graph, like what is happening. You can have a little bit of noise in your scene. So right now it's kind of perfect, right? But if you add just a little bit of noise, all of a sudden they are not falling kind of straight down. So if it's like a windy day, something like that. You can add in external forces. So you can have, some kind of wind if you want, something like that. You can also have it actually collide with your ground plane. So by default, it is not colliding, but if you look at your environment and you want to have, it has a collider on it. So with our particles, we can make sure that they are kind of colliding with these things. So now it hits the ground, right? Rain doesn't really do that, but so we can change the bouncing. It's very bouncy by default. Your computer might freak out. My computer is having a hard time with this. So, okay, cool. It kind of hits the ground and then it falls. So that's potentially a little bit closer to what rain does. Okay, and so you can see here, I mean, I'm just kind of playing around, but we've made some kind of strange rain. And if you click in the game view, this is kind of what that is looking like. This maybe looks a little bit more like snow or hail, but let's see. Shape. You can, there's a 3D start size. So if you actually turn that on, we can make it so that it is more like streaks. So if we scale it up in the Y, give it a sec, see how they're getting longer? So if I make that like 5, it doesn't look very good with the ground collision, but right, it can, that's kind of how rain looks like sometimes. So I'm gonna turn that back off. I don't like it actually, but you can get the idea that there's like a lot of different stuff that you can play with. So okay, all that being said, this is like so hard to work with. I hate it. In the asset store, you can find there are particle effects. So if we look for free ones, we search, there are so many of them. These are kind of cartoony. You can do bubbles. You can do particle lights. There's fantasy effects, right? There's like all this kind of stuff. So let's see. I'm going to download one and check it out. Okay, I downloaded the Unity Particle Pack. I will make a quick note that I kind of chose what I wanted to import. There's a lot of stuff in here, so I pretty much just only imported the effect examples and not anything else because I didn't want any of that. So just the effects. So in my scene here, so you can see that there is a lot of different types of effect examples. There's fire and explosions, goop, magic, smoke and steam. So if we look maybe in smoke and steam, so, we're in the desert. So like heat distortion, that could be cool. Let's see if we get a little closer to that. Yeah, awesome, right? So let's bring that a little bit closer to the camera. And it down a little bit. Let's see. Whoa, cool, right? So you might want to put like a couple of these in there, or you can make it bigger. Who knows, right? Whoa. It's crazy. So maybe there's some heat in the scene. It's pretty cool. Maybe there's something else. Maybe there's magic in your scene. Ice slants, right? Like, who knows? Maybe there's some goop. Goop spray. Goop spray. Let's see. It's goop spray. We have a goop kind of bursting out, so you could put this into the scene. Maybe there's something spurting out in your scene. There's explosions, so you can do some kind of like fireball if you wanted. If you bring that into the scene. So right, there's a lot of different ones that you can just bring in, and that could be quite fun. So have a good time with this stuff.